Thank you, Eric. This is quite the meeting. I had a lot of fun the first 5, 10 minutes. This is okay. This is a good time. I love you guys. This is great. Like, I'm glad to be here. My name is Bill. I'm an alcoholic. My home group is Connect the Dots Group here in Las Vegas. I have a sponsor. His name is Bob D. My sobriety date is August 22nd of 2010, and I cherish each and every one of those things. I hold it dear to my heart, and that's one of the reasons I get to stay sober today. Um, I'll just tell you, when I was even a snot-nosed brat, I felt different from other people. Kind of, I don't know. I couldn't connect with folks like people connect. I just felt, I don't, odd. I had to go from group to group trying to find somebody that I can fit in with, and it never seemed to work out. And then I found alcohol, and all those problems seemed to disappear somehow. I love the effect produced by alcohol, as the book says. I love the way it made me feel. It was magical for me, and I knew that once once I tasted, I knew that for the rest of my life, if it's available to me, I was going to be on it. I just loved the way it made me feel. I started drinking around 13 years old. When you're a young teenager, you can't get your hands on it very often. But when it came available, I made sure I was there. I wanted to make sure that I benefited from that feeling as often as possible. It progressed uh, as it does, and I got into different kind of trouble, and I started getting being picked up for things by the police, and eventually when I was 16 years old, my parents they put me in a treatment center. It was a 6 day detox followed by a 30-day program. After 6 days, they made you go to meetings of A&A. And we walked into this meeting room single file. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I looked around the room. It was a big meeting. They let people come in from the outside into this treatment center for this meeting. It was a big meeting. I just looked around and saw a bunch of old people like my age now, but like old people sitting around. Back then, you could smoke in meetings. They were smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, and they were joking and laughing. And I didn't know what the heck they were laughing about. I haven't had a drink in 6 days. Nothing's funny, but these guys are laughing, and I just thought, oh my God, what have I done to deserve this? You know what I mean? This is like the height of lame. I just, oh my God, this was terrible. But I want my parents to, I don't know, I want the favor of my parents back, right? So I stick it out. I hang in there for 30 days. And when I got out of that treatment center, I still went to meetings for like once a week on a Sunday. I went to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. Arrived right on time, and I left right on time. I didn't do anything in that meeting but sit and heat their seats and suck their air. But that meant I was there every single week. But man, if you're familiar with the doctor's opinion and what it states in there about what an alcoholic truly is, when I'm separate from alcohol, the best I get is like bored. And and from there it gets worse. It just gets so darn uncomfortable. And then my head, it likes to talk to me. It tells me crazy things like, "Oh my God, you're not going to drink for the rest of your life? What about that time when you meet the perfect girl and she wants to have a Mai Tai on the beach? You're not going to have a Mai Tai with the perfect girl on the beach." My head's just talking to me. What happens when you get married? You're not going to drink any champagne at the wedding? Come on, man. You got to drink champagne at your wedding. Head just talks to you. And it finally gets down to every time it gets down to, damn it, this is America. I can drink in America if I want to drink. I'm going to have a drink. And I'll listen to that crap that goes on in my head in my voice, and I'll say, you know what? I'm just gonna go have a drink. And I go out and I try to drink. The other part of my alcoholism, as it's described in a doctor's opinion, is once I start drinking, I seem to have little or no control over the amount of drinks I take. I don't know what that is, right? But when I start, I just can't seem to stop. Um, it doesn't, when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't seem that way, right? It seems like I'm just changing my mind. What I think is going on is the game is going on too long, and I don't want to leave the bar early before the game is over. Or she walks through the door, and I want to have a drink with her, or whatever it might be. It just looks like I'm changing my mind, but the truth of the matter is I suffer from an allergy, and the allergic reaction is an irresistible craving for more. So when I start, I can't stop, and the worst part of it, because if you know that to be true about yourself, it's an easy solution to that problem is don't start drinking, stupid, right? But the other part of it that I've already talked about, that other part of it, when I separate myself from alcohol for any length of time, my head starts talking to me and it gets uncomfortable. People aren't treating me right. Get full of fear. I get resentful. Well, I got a call there for a second. Am I still here? Good. People shouldn't be because my sponsee. You can call me later. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So I get uh, restless, irritable, and discontented is what the book says. But I think that's a little light because boy, I get downright angry. I mean, nowadays they give you pills for anxiety, right? So anxiety is almost like a good thing to have. But I get anxiety when I'm separated from alcohol, and I just need a break. And I always go back to it, seems like. But in the beginning, I'm not knocking alcohol. It's good for some people, terrible for me. Uh, I had a lot of fun with it, but then somewhere in the middle, it started causing me some more trouble. Doing weekends in jail and stuff. The weekends in jail is not a big deal. You still have Monday through Thursday to drink. You just got to clean up before you go in on Friday. All right, it all seems manageable, so I could continue drinking. But at the end, man, it was just pathetic. In the end, if you're alcoholic like I'm alcoholic, you drink away your friends, you drink away your family, and all you're left with is you. It's just you. And the bigger problem is I just could not seem to drink enough I just could not seem to drink enough to get rid of those feelings anymore. The party was gone, man. I played it out. No matter how much I drank, I couldn't get that magic anymore. I felt just as depressed as I was before I started. After then, I had a few drinks. There was no difference. I was just sloppy about my depression. And what do you do in that situation where when you swear it off and absolutely mean it with every fiber in your body, and then you always seem to go back to it? And when you go back to it, you can't stop because you have this allergy, but it's not working anyway. What is the end game in that situation? And that put me in a very, very, very odd place. Uh, I came back to Alcoholics Anonymous in 2003. It wasn't necessarily to get sober. It was because, I mean, if you're a dirtbag like I'm a dirtbag, I like to borrow money from people, and I'll tell them stuff like, "Hey, it's for the power bill or something," right? And then the power doesn't come back on in my apartment, and then they catch on after a while and figure out that the money's not really going to my power bill or my car insurance or whatever excuse I used. And once they figure it out, they stop giving you the money, right? They start saying no. And I've told them over and over again, and that's another issue, is this time I mean it, I'm not going to drink anymore, I promise. I learned my lesson. That's not going to happen. I just need $50. You know? I just need and you tell people that long enough, they stop believing you. And that's what happened to me. But I figured, you know what? They're going to believe me this time. I got a friend in Alcoholics Anonymous. His name is Sheldon. Uh, he says that Alcoholics Anonymous will give you whatever it is you're looking for, and I guarantee that's 100% true. Well, at least with my experience, because I came back to Alcoholics Anonymous in 2003, and I told everybody that I knew that I was an AA, and this time I mean business. I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. Of course I'm going to stay sober this time. I told you this time I meant it. I was in Alcoholics Anonymous in 2003. About 2 weeks went by. All I'm doing is showing up and sucking the air and keeping the seat hot, and not doing anything else in the rooms. But I looked around and I noticed that all my bills were paid. It had worked. I came in telling everybody I was going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and all of a sudden they started wanting to help me again, and all my bills got paid. And I looked around and thought, oh my God, I did it again. I overreacted. This is perfectly fine. I'm okay. It's going to be all right. And I go out and I start drinking again. And I was in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous that way for nearly 8 years. I'd come in to get sober, to get drunk. I'd come in to get sober, to get drunk, over and over again. I guess I'm a guy that's trying to look for the right level of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't want to do it all. You know what I mean? I don't want to overdo Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm trying to find the right level of AA that's going to work for my particular problem. Here I am trying to run the show, man, trying to control and manage. I'm just a boy. And every time I would get drunk and come back, I would do a little bit more Alcoholics Anonymous. Eventually, I got a sponsor. I didn't do anything the sponsor asked me to do, but I got a sponsor. Then I go out and I drink again. I come back in. Then I start getting into the steps. Okay, maybe I should try this steps thing. I get to the fourth step, and I start writing the fourth step, and there's something, man, that I just don't want to give up. You know what I mean? That's it's always those. It's not really the bad cool stuff, like you robbed a bank or something. It's always that squirmy little stuff that's embarrassing and you don't want anybody to know about. And I did not want to give that up, so I left that off, that fourth step. And what happened, like on I think it's on top of page 72, we wonder why they fell, or 74. I wonder why they fell. It's because they did a house cleaning all right, but they left some of the best items. See, I didn't want to give up that one thing, and that one thing you don't want to give up is the most important thing, because that's the thing that beats at you in your subconscious the most. And eventually, I don't get better. I get sicker and I go out and I drink again. And this was just over and over and over again. I managed to get about a year and a half sober in Alcoholics Anonymous during that time. And during that year and a half, uh, I had met somebody who happened to also be in Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't know she was, but we found out after our first date. So obviously, it's God's will. And what happens, this is how I do it. This was my second wife. I did the first wife the same way. We went out for a date, this lady and I, and within 2 days, I was staying at her house here in Las Vegas. I never left, right? And then within 6 months, I convinced this poor woman to marry me, and she did. And we were married, and doing Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're fighting like cats and dogs. And oh my God, it's just a disaster, really. About 6 months after we're married, my wife comes to me and she says, "Hey, I'm pregnant." And I was 39 years old, didn't have any kids that I knew of. I was excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be somebody's dad. And the next thought was, oh my God, I'm going to be somebody's dad. I got to start making a living, man. I got a family to support. You know what I mean? At this time, I'm doing like 7 meetings a week. I am leading a book step study at an AA club here in town on Sundays. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm very, very busy in AA, but boy, I gotta work now. I gotta support this family. So what I do is I back off the Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, I'll just take a couple, two or three of those meetings, I'll stop going to those so I can work longer hours. And the bills just kept piling up, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I got to cut back on my AA a little bit more, so I cut off some more meetings. And the problem just seemed to get worse, and I can't figure out what the heck is going on. I'm spending every hour trying to work. My job is based on commissions only, so I only get paid for the stuff I sell, and it's just getting more difficult. I can't figure out why. Oh my God, the rent's late. The power bills are overdue. My wife, she's pregnant. I don't know. Oh, I learned a valuable lesson from that. Uh, spent with that experience, I plainly saw that the less AA I do and the longer hours I work, the less money I make, which is peculiar, kind of weird, but it's absolutely true. At least it was in my life. But I'm in that situation and I don't know what I'm going to do, man. My head is just full of fear. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to kick us out of this apartment. I don't know if we're going to be able to afford to have this kid. What am I going? I just need a break. If I could just get a couple of hours. I just need a couple hours, man, and everything will be okay. I'll figure it out tomorrow, man. But I just need a clear head so I can think. I just light beer. Nobody's gotten in trouble for drinking light beer. I'll just have a couple light beers. I'll ease the tension, and then tomorrow I can get back on this sobriety thing or whatever this is, and I can move on with my life. And I go out for a couple of beers. Somewhere in the middle of that second beer, it seems like a good idea to have a third one, and then a fourth one. And I just start drinking again, man. I was out drinking for about 30 days. My last drink was at a little place called Larry's Villa here in Las Vegas. It's quite the seedy place, right? We like to find the people that we could drink with, you know what I'm saying? And by this time, they're pretty lower companions for sure. And I come home from this Larry's Villa, and my wife is on that back patio, and she was 8 months pregnant, and she turned to me and she said, "Bill, if I find out that you've had so much as a beer, right? If I find out you've been drinking again, I'm going to leave." I've had a lot of people leave me in my life. They don't normally tell me they're going away, right? But I could see she was serious. She and I are divorced. We have a lot of differences, her and I. We really do. Um, but that woman, she had a hand in saving my life that day because it gave me pause. It gave me just a moment to really look at my experience with alcohol. In just a couple of minutes, I stood on that back patio and I thought about what I heard in Alcoholics Anonymous over those years. And I thought, am I really a guy that once I start drinking, I can't seem to stop? And when I looked at my experience with alcohol, and I was completely honest with myself for the first time, I had to say yes. It's obvious. It's completely obvious that once I start drinking, I can't seem to stop. And the second question was, am I a guy that have I ever quit? I mean, and really meant it and gone back to it? And again, when I was completely honest with myself, looking at my own experience with alcohol, I had to say yes. And armed with that information, man, I ran my butt back to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. I wound up at this guy, but my sponsor's house. I did not have any idea who he was. I'd never been to this meeting before. It was a step study in this guy's living room. I sat on his couch. He was sitting in a rocking chair. And I don't know if it was lucky or what, but he was sharing on step one. And for the first time, my ears were open for the music of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I identified with everything that man had to say that day. And as soon as he was done, I jumped up out of my chair, ran across the room, and asked him, "Would you please be my sponsor? Would you please take me through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous?" I told him, "Man, I will do whatever it is you asked me to do. I just don't ever want to take another drink." And he just looked at me and said, "I know you don't, kid." And the first thing he did was give me a list of meetings that he would like to see me attend. The following day, there was a meeting here at a sober house here in Las Vegas. They have a book study on Wednesday nights. I led that meeting for, I think, 5 years. But this is the first time I had ever been to that meeting. And I went into the sober house and I sat down, and a very good friend of mine, Sheldon F., was leading that book study that night. And somehow, for some reason, I don't know if it's odd or God or what it might be, but he was sharing on step two that night. Crazy. I thought maybe they just tailored Alcoholics Anonymous for me because I'm just that darn special. But they shared on step two that night, and he got to a page in the big book, page 52. They call them the bedevilments in the Alcoholics Anonymous. It says, we were having trouble with personal relationships. And I just left this little itty bitty apartment that we were living in, and my wife, who was 8 months pregnant, threatened to leave me if I didn't stop drinking. We were fighting like cats and dogs all the time. There was never any peace in the house. I was having trouble with personal relationships. And it says, we couldn't control our emotional natures. When you just separate me from alcohol, man, and all I do is be separated from it, I'm a train wreck with emotions. I'm pissed 1 minute, sad the next. I just can't keep it together for some reason. We're we we were a prey to misery and depression. We couldn't make a living. I was raised pretty well. I've been working a job since I was 13 years old. I've always had a job. But when I'm honest with myself, I don't know that I had ever made a living. Those are two different things. I didn't pay my rent on time. I wasn't able to pay my bills. I wasn't able to do any of those things. Did I collect a paycheck and blow it? Sure, but I never made a living. And next it says, we had a feeling of uselessness. We're full of fear. I don't know, man. I used to walk around and I had this fear in the pit of my stomach. You know what I mean? Can't really put a name to it. I don't know what I'm afraid of, but it's something and it's big. It's coming. I know it's coming. Always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean? Because that shoe always seems to drop on me. I know it's coming, and it's sitting in the pit of my. It just sits there. Once in a while, like jump up and slap me in the face, but it's always there. And I was always full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. And he read that, and tears started flowing out of my eyes. He nailed me, man. Absolutely nailed me. I actually stole the big book from that meeting. I made amends. I brought the book back, but I stole the meeting of the book from that meeting, and I had my thumb on that page 52 in the big book, and I drove home one-handed with my thumb on that page, and I got to that little apartment, and I ran up the stairs to the front door, and I opened it up, and I screamed to my wife to come sit next to me on the couch. I wanted to show her something. And I opened up the big book to that page 52, and I pointed to that paragraph, and and I said, "This is me. This is me when I don't drink." You know what I mean? This is me. This is the problem I'm having. And if the problem's in the book, I'm going to bet that the solution's in the book too. And I have been on fire for Alcoholics Anonymous ever since that day. Absolute fire. What happened for me, my my sponsor, we were having a lot of problems in the house as soon as I got sober. The problems didn't go away, you know. Hey, I'm sober now. It's supposed to be perfect. My problems did not go away. We were fighting like cats and dogs, and I would call my sponsor on a regular basis at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd complain about my woes and she's not treating me right and all that kind of stuff. And he'd, say whatever he's gonna say. Hey, pray about it, kid, or something, right? And then the next day, every single time, the next day, my phone would ring, and my sponsor would say, "Hey, would you mind going across town and picking this new guy up and bringing him to the meeting tonight?" Every single time, and I drive all the way across town cussing my sponsor under my breath. I can't believe he's doing this to me. Doesn't he realize the problems that I'm having? I can't be away from my house this long going across. That's always on the other side of town. It's never convenient. So I'm driving all the way the other side of town to pick up some stinky newcomer and put him in my car. And now I got to have a conversation with this guy. So I'm making small talk as we're driving to the meeting. We get to the meeting, we get through the meeting. Now we got to drive him all the way back, and I can drive him all the way back to his house across town. But on the way back, we start talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. We start talking about the program of AA. We start talking about God. And by the time I drop him off, I'm on my way home, and all my problems that I was so concerned about have vanished. Right? But it only lasts maybe 2, 3 hours because, I go home and then all of a sudden we start arguing again, and then it turns into the same thing. I call him at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then tomorrow, the next day, I'm out driving across town, picking up a different newcomer, taking him to the meeting, taking him back. And I go, oh, it's the same effect I used to feel from just a few shots of Jack Daniels. Just for a little while, my problems go away by taking actions in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's the kind of mentor that I had. That's the kind of teacher I have in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's why I'm so grateful for that man today. He immediately got me into the steps using the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, word by word and page by page. We didn't do anything that wasn't written in black ink and a white page in that book. We got to that third step, and I tell you, when I was a kid, my grandmother she used to take me to church. She was Catholic, and she put me in this green suit, green plaid suit. It was ridiculous. And then she would take me to church, to mass on Sundays, and we were, I guess, for all intents purpose, I was Catholic. And then what happened is my mom and my natural father, they divorced, and my mom was starting to date again, and she met a guy. She met a dude that she seemed to like pretty well, and they started. He wasn't Catholic, is the problem, and so they started going to different faiths and different churches, trying to find a church that they can do business with. I didn't see it that way at the time. I thought they were just dragging me from church to church to torture me, right? Because you go to one church and they say, "Oh no, well, you got to forget those three rules in that Catholic church and learn these two." Then I went to the next religion, and then they said, "No, no, 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 no. Those rules are wrong. I want you to learn these four." And by the time I got done with it, I was like, you know what? I don't believe any of this stuff. And that's kind of how I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. Although those 8 years of in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous, I was trying to find a solution for my alcoholism that wasn't AA. You know what I mean? The last thing I want to do is AA. That's ridiculous. So I'm going to psychiatrists and all this stuff. And as a last ditch effort, I went to church. Went back to church with my parents. And I can remember sitting in the pew, and I was looking around at the congregation, and the sermon was going on, and I'm sure it was a great sermon. But I looked around at the congregation, and I could tell by the look in their eyes and by their body language that they had something in that church that I did not possess. I could not get to where they were from where I was. And I figured this isn't going to work either. I went back to drinking at that time. So I approached step 3 and I'm thinking, I don't know, man. I don't, but when you're in a position to not argue, when you realize that you've been defeated, you're willing to go along with just about anything because you want to do anything to stay sober. And my sponsor told me to look at it this way. He said, Bill, if you paid somebody good money to manage your life, and it turned out the way it did, would you fire that manager? I said, absolutely. Of course I would. I'd have to fire him right away. He said, well, that's what we're doing here in step 3 in Alcoholics Anonymous. You're a terrible manager. We're gonna go back from just, I understand. I believed in God, right? I have faith in God. But getting to a point where I'm willing to trust and rely upon God, that's a whole nother scenario, man. But you know what? Yeah, I can see that my life is a wreck. And I'll go ahead and make that decision, realizing it's only a decision. And that launched me into my 4th step. And he opened up the 4th step in the big book and he told me to follow the directions. And we did them one column at a time, and it gave us an instruction on the 4th step. We followed that instruction. We started with the first column. We just wrote down names. That's it, man. Just write down the names. If you can't figure out who you're resentful at, just think about the stupid people, he said. Write all the stupid people down on that list. And that's what I did. I started writing, man. And believe me, when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I could identify every single stupid person. And I wrote them all down, man. And then he got to the next column. He said, okay, why are you resentful at them? Why do you think they're stupid? What happened? And oh boy, he said, bullet points, you're not looking for allies here. So I go ahead and write in bullet points. He said, how'd that affect you? Oh, well, okay. The book says that I should write down how it affected me, my pocketbook, my personal relationships. Like I wrote all that stuff down. And then he got to that next part, which I think is one of the most important parts of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Just see if I can get to it here real quick. It says, we turn back to the list, for it held the key to our future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. What other angle is there, right? It's the other person. What about from the way they see it? We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. And that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, and it's been my experience that most of it was fancied, had the power to actually kill. Resentment must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. Isn't that true? I mean, when I was out there before Alcoholics Anonymous, that somebody would approach me and say, hey, you mad at Dave? No, I'm not mad at Dave anymore. That was a while ago. But boy, I drive by Dave's house and I just clench up and my teeth get tight. And, oh, no, I'm not going to be mad at Dave anymore. Dave's okay. That was a long time ago. I'm not going to be concerned about it anymore. And I just can't see all as much as I want to. I don't want to have these resentments, but they always seem to come back. And it says, this was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. You bet they were. Though we did not like their symptoms, that's a column 2. And the way they disturbed us, column 3. They, like ourselves, were sick too. So we asked God to help show us the same tolerance, pity, and patience we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, boy, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful? God saved me from being angry. And he had me write that stuff down. I couldn't get answers to all of it. Thank God there's a 5th step. But man, I wrote all that stuff down, and for the first time I could see where I was not right. I spent my life being right. And for the first time, putting this stuff on paper, I could see that I was wrong. I could find my wrongs, man. It's not my part. Putting out the person entirely. Where was I at fault? Boy, I could find myself all over it, man. All over it. And I got through that fifth step, and as soon as I got into that fifth step, and when I got done with it, sharing with God and with my sponsor, I'm not a joiner. I don't like to join things, probably because usually I feel separate and apart from. So when I'm in a big room, my group, my AA group here, we have 250 people on a Monday night, and I'll go into this room when I was brand new, and it would be me and the rest of them. I just didn't seem to fit yet. You know what I mean? But when I got done with that fifth step, my sponsor knee to knee with me, and he's sharing his story. I'm sharing my story. He's nodding his head, saying, "Me too." I felt for the first time like I fit in Alcoholics Anonymous. I felt like a member of AA. I went through my amends. I got to speed this up a little bit. I got through my amends with my sponsor's help all the way through, wrote some checks I didn't want to write, uh, made some made some things right that I didn't want to make right. But the end result is the amends process cured the separation that I created between me and God and me and the people around me. That was my main issue, was the separation that my selfishness and self-centeredness caused in my alcoholism. I'm a I'm a meditation and prayer guy. Every morning I get up, I meditate and I pray. Uh, I sit and I still read 86, 87, and 88. I mean, 15 years later, and I'm still doing it. It must because it works. I don't want to change anything for fear it might, I don't want to change my sobriety. I do that and I sit quiet for a while and I ask God to join me as I try to map out my day and where can I be helpful and what meetings am I going to, and try to keep my motives right. Throughout the day, I check myself to make sure, as Steps 10 suggests, that if I'm doing any wrongs and I can spot it, I can make amends quickly because I don't want to put more stuff under the rug, man. I like my life today because of Alcoholics Anonymous. All those trips picking up guys across town and bringing them home gave me opportunities where I had guys that were brand new asking me to take them through the steps, and I started collecting a group of guys that that want to be sober like I want to be sober. You know what I mean? And man, nothing lights me up more than having my phone ring, and it's a new guy that I'm trying to work with because I love to see the lights come on. I love to see their lives improve because of Alcoholics Anonymous. I love to see that the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book, and the 12 steps can actually turn a person's life around. I've got a guy, he was homeless. He came through a homeless shelter here in Las Vegas. He no longer lives here. He moved to Texas, but this guy bought his first house. That's because of Alcoholics Anonymous, man. That lady and I got divorced. The judge saw that I was better fit to have primary custody of my daughter. She's 14 years old. She's sitting in her bedroom on the other side of the house. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. If it was me, I would have turned around when she threatened me with leaving because I was drinking. That's not me. That's AA, man. So I don't know. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love the life it's given me. Most of all, I've got lots of cash and prizes, and that stuff's wonderful. But the thing I love the most that I get out of Alcoholics Anonymous is that my life is just easy today. It's just easy. No matter what problems come up, it's just easy. I love my love, love AA. Love you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.